Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're just finding us, my name is Jane and here we talk about a whole range of things. Today, however, I'm going to talk about that thing we keep hearing about the New World Order and what exactly is the New World Order. Do I think it's going to be better for the world or do I think it's going to be worse for the world? So let's run down what exactly is this New World Order and what are they talking about? I made some notes, so bear with me if I'm looking down, but let's get into this. Gonna be fun. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's what we call the BRICS nations. This bloc of nations is powerful and getting more powerful every day. They represent 42% of the entire world population. They also represent 26% of all the money that's circulating on the planet. They also represent 16% of all the global growth, the rise in the global growth on the planet. The rise of the BRICS is like the most important geopolitical shift that is happening in the world right now. Countries that try to ignore this are ignoring this at their peril. Right now, as I make this vlog, there are 13 other countries that have applied and are waiting in line to join the BRICS. So you can say the BRICS poses a serious challenge to the international order that is in the world right now. Once these countries are established, and I would beg to say that they are quite established, they're going to have great effects on what's going on in the world, where the markets are concerned, where natural resources are concerned, where oil is concerned, where economic growth is concerned. And if you don't believe me, you can hear what Xi Jinping said to Putin the last time they met, that changes are coming that the world hasn't seen in the last 100 years. He said that. We are moving towards the biggest monetary and political shift that we haven't seen in a long time. And as we know, Russia has just announced that they will increase their trade in the Chinese yuan and also using yuan with international partners like Latin America and Africa and Asia and beyond. This is a major blow for the dollar-dominated world of economics. Brazil as well came out recently and said that they will be doing international trade as well in the Chinese yuan. So many countries in the BRICS are sidestepping the dollar and trading in Chinese yuan or other currencies. Very important to know this, and I wrote it down. The GDP of the BRICS group has now surpassed the G7 group. And you know the G7 consists of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So the numbers, the trending numbers are trending towards the BRICS. The gap is widening, guys. But let me keep it simple. Let me break it down for you. Who are the BRICS? So let's start with Brazil. That's the B in the BRICS. Brazil is the sixth most populous country in the world that consists of 212 million people. Brazil is the eighth biggest oil producer in the world. It's a major food exporter, you know, the beef and the soy and all those things that Brazil exports. It's basically an industrial powerhouse. And then we have the R in the BRICS. That's Russia. Russia is the ninth most populous country on the planet. It has 145 million people. It's the third biggest oil producer on the planet. It's a major exporter of timber, of iron, of gold, many natural resources that we need around the world for everything that we make. It comes from Russia. Then we have India, the I in the BRICS. India is the second most populous country in the world. India has 1.4 billion people. And they say it's about to flip China because China has the most people. India is a rising global economy with a huge base in manufacturing, space engineering, and it's the fifth biggest economy on the planet. And then we have the C in the BRICS, which is China. China has 1.41 billion people, the largest population on the planet. And in China basically makes everything. There is nothing that is on this planet that China does not produce. They produce everything. They are the powerhouse of manufacturing and exports. And I know we hear on the news a lot that America is the biggest economy on the planet. I don't think so. I think that's a narrative. I honestly think that China is the biggest economy on this planet. But they say what they want to say. Then there's South Africa, the S in the BRICS. South Africa is the 25th largest population on the planet with 60 million people. It's also the third biggest economy in Africa, as well as a major producer of a variety of different commodities, from metals to you name it, they produce it. So beyond those 5 members of the BRICS is about to undergo a serious expansion because there are 13 countries on the list waiting to join the BRICS and potentially 20 countries waiting to join. So we know for sure that Iran has applied to join last year. Iran has 88 million people and they are the 10th biggest oil producer on the planet. They are the world's 4th largest country by proven oil reserves. And then we have Argentina. They also applied to join. Argentina has a population of 45 million people, and it's one of the biggest countries in South America, of course. It's also a major exporter of food, products like soy, corn, citrus, seed oil, cotton, wheat, beef, and it also ranks as the 10th producer for almost all of those categories. And then there's Algeria, 45 million people. It's the 3rd country to officially apply to join BRICS. It has the 11th biggest reserves of natural gas in the world. 3 more countries are widely thought applying in the very near future. Can you imagine one of those countries is Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia, guys, one of the biggest oil producers on this planet. And you know that China just brokered a deal, a peace deal, a get-together deal with Saudi Arabia and Iran. Because think about it. If Iran and Saudi Arabia want to join the BRICS, then of course they have to be friends. So China just brokered a peace deal, a get-together deal, a come and talk together deal with those 2 countries. Egypt is set to join with 110 million people. Turkey, which is very strange because Turkey is a part of NATO and there's no NATO countries, no countries in the West that has applied to join the BRICS except Turkey. Turkey is special because it's also part of NATO, but it's also applied to join the BRICS, which is very extraordinary. Turkey is putting its eggs in both baskets because lines are being drawn, people. And Turkey wants to be on both sides of the line. We all know Turkey is a big country, has a population of 85 million people. It's the 19th largest economy in the world and a major player because it's the only country that sits in Europe as well as Asia. And you have a host of other countries. Let me name off a few. You got Kazakhstan, Kenya, Mexico, Nigeria, the United Arab Emirates, Thailand, all those powerhouses, all those countries with huge populations, all of them have applied or are interested in joining the BRICS. The scope of what the BRICS is trying to do is mind-blowing. This has never been done in the history of this planet. The BRICS is looking to implement a complete new world order. They are just collectively sick of how the world has been running in this unipolar fashion for so many years. And make no mistake, if they pull this off, which I think they will be a powerhouse to be reckoned with. They would have in their bloc, they would have the most resources in the world, the most natural resources, the most commodities, the most economic growth, the most manufacturing. Nowhere else on this planet has such manufacturing and such growth and such an economy and such a great populace of the planet than would be in the BRICS bloc. They would control all the oil markets, all the commodities, all the natural resources from the ground. They would control all the food markets, all the means of production. Globally, they would have everything in their control. And they're playing it so smart. They've been playing it smart for years, while we, the West, the Western bloc, has been sleeping on a job, thinking that we're all powerful and nothing can dethrone us. When you start to understand all these numbers that I'm talking about, you will understand that the BRICS will be a bloc to be reckoned with. They will have so much influence in the world. We will be insignificant. There's a new world order breathing down our necks, guys. I personally think when all those countries end up joining the BRICS, that they will go for the throat of the US. And what's the throat of the US is the US dollar, because it is supposed to be the dominant reserve currency around the world. And I think that is about to be over. Why I say that is because of what happened when Russia invaded Ukraine. So when Russia invaded Ukraine, the West seized hundreds of billions of dollars from Russia. And that shook up a lot of the world, like China, Saudi Arabia, and others were paying attention. They paid real attention because a lot of their money are also in the Western banks, and they felt vulnerable. So the BRICS, China, and the rest have been buying up gold like crazy, all over the world, buying up gold. And they are also in the process of launching their own currency. And many countries now are starting to say that they're not going to trade, they're not going to buy oil and pay for oil in the US dollar. So what else is there left for the US dollar? Because if you can trade with Russia and with China and do international trade with another currency besides the US dollar, then countries don't have to keep the dollar in reserves in central banks all over the world. If everyone doesn't need a dollar to buy oil anymore, there's no reason for that non-Western central banks to stack dollars. So the BRICS has launched their own bank, the New Development Bank, which is a direct challenge to the IMF and the World Bank. So there will be countries that don't need to borrow from the IMF and the World Bank and be with this tight rope around their neck for years and years, and sanctions, and it's not necessary anymore. And if you pay attention, this is becoming more than an economic alliance. This is also becoming a military alliance, because if you look around, you will see that South Africa and China are doing military exercises. Iran is sending warships to Brazil. Lots of stuff is happening between this bloc and other people and other countries that want to join this bloc. So yeah, guys, I'm not saying there won't be challenges, because all the countries in the bloc and all the countries that want to join the bloc are totally different countries. You know, they're different economies, they're different cultures, they're different parts of the world, they're spread out, they have their different challenges. But when you think about it, the Western bloc, this order that we're living in now, it's the same thing. Europe is different than Canada. We have different cultures. We're far apart. Europe is different than America. Europe is different than Australia. We all have challenges. I don't know if that would be a reason that this won't succeed. I think a new world order is upon us, and I don't know if it's going to be better for the world or worse. All I know is and all I can say is, from my experience, the last 70 years has been complete. And I know I hate to use those words on my channel, but can it get any worse is what I'm saying. Can it get any worse? I'm excited to hear your comments. What do you think about it? Are we ready for a new world order? Are we ready for things to be different? And yes, of course, you have to do your research. You know, what is China doing with the Belt and Road Initiative? What does it mean for countries that they help? What does it mean that they're helping build up Africa with roads and schools? And what is the reasoning behind it? What do they hope to get from it? you know? So we have to look at the whole big picture. Anyway, I didn't want this to be that long, but exciting. I really think we're in for a new world order. And what is it going to look like? I don't know, but hope I'm around to see it. I can't wait to read your comments. You can also email me and let's talk about this. I'll see you in my next vlog. Cheers.